How's it going, baseball fans? It has been a long offseason, but the new MLB season is just about here. Now, I know what many of you may be thinking. I've seen where a few of the big names have signed, but I don't know how my team looks now, or really how the league looks as a whole. Well, hold on, you're in luck. I spent the entire offseason tracking every signing and transaction and will provide a clear and concise full breakdown of every team to get you ready for the season quickly. I will have 6 videos, one division per video, where I go over each of the 5 teams and their off seasons in alphabetical order. Specifically, I will be covering all players departing from the major league team, all free agency signings, all trades, all extensions and re-signings, all arbitration deals, if the team drafted a Rule 5 player or not, as well as briefly covering all waiver pickups and minor league players signed. If you have any questions about any part of the video or what certain transactions may mean to a team, comment below and I'll be sure to help out. Also, I hope I pronounced everyone's names correctly. Feel free to let me know if I get a name or two wrong. Anyways, this video will cover the offseason of all teams in the NL Central, starting with the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs have 9 players from their MLB roster not returning this year, the most impactful of those being catcher Wilson Contreras. The Cubs signed 9 free agents, the most by any team this offseason. Those 9 free agents are star shortstop Dansby Swanson, who signed a 7-year, $177 million deal that includes a full no-trade clause. Starting pitcher Jameson Taillon to a 4-year, $68 million deal. Center fielder Cody Bellinger to a 1-year, $17.5 million deal with a 2024 mutual option of $12 million and a buyout option of $5.5 million. Hitter Trey Mancini to a 2-year, $14 million deal where there will be a player opt-out option if Mancini has at least 350 at-bats this year. Catcher Tucker Barnhart to a 2-year, $6.5 million deal, which has a 2024 player option and $3 million in escalators and performance incentives. Relief pitcher Michael Fulmer to a 1-year, $4 million deal. Relief pitcher Brad Boxberger to a 1-year, $2.8 million deal, which has a 2024 mutual option of $5 million and an $800,000 buyout option. Hitter Edwin Rios to a 1-year, $1 million deal, and first baseman Eric Hosmer to a 1-year, $720,000 deal. Also with trades, Chicago made 2 this offseason. On November 15th, they traded away relief pitcher Alfredo Zaraga to the Tampa Bay Rays in exchange for hitter Miles Mastrobuoni. And on January 4th, they traded away relief pitcher Eric Ullman to the Philadelphia Phillies and got cash considerations in return. Chicago did not exercise any club options or re-sign any players, but did sign one player to an extension. They signed starting pitcher Drew Smyly to a 2-year, $19 million deal with a player opt-out available after the first season and a mutual option in 2025 of $10 million with a $2.5 million buyout option. The Cubs had 6 players eligible for arbitration and were able to agree to deals with all 6 players while avoiding the need of an arbiter. They agreed to deals with outfielder Ian Happ, second basemen Nico Horner and Nick Madrigal, starting pitcher Adrian Sampson, and relief pitchers Rowan Wick and Cody Hewer. And to wrap up, the Chicago Cubs did not draft a Rule 5 player, but did claim 3 players off waivers and signed a group of minor league free agents that you can see here. Next up, the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds have 11 players from their MLB roster not returning this year, the most impactful of those being outfielder Aristides Aquino and infielders Donovan Solano and Kyle Farmer. The Reds also signed 4 free agents. Those 4 free agents are right fielder Will Myers, who signed a 1-year, $7.5 million deal, which includes $1.5 million in performance incentives, a $500,000 bonus if traded, and a 2024 mutual option of $12 million with a $1.5 million buyout option, catcher Kurt Casale to a 1-year, $3.25 million deal, which has a 2024 mutual option of $2.5 million with a $750,000 buyout option, starting pitcher Luke Weaver to a 1-year, $2 million deal, and catcher Luke Miley to a 1-year, $1.75 million deal with $25,000 in performance incentives. When it came to trades, Cincinnati made 5 this offseason. On November 10th, they traded away cash considerations to the Texas Rangers in exchange for hitter Nick Solak. Then, on November 18th, the Reds made 2 trades. First, trading relief pitcher Dari Moreta to the Pittsburgh Pirates for infielder Kevin Newman in return, and then traded infielder Kyle Farmer to the Minnesota Twins in exchange for starting pitcher Casey Legumina. Then, on December 7th, they traded away hitter Blake Sabol to the San Francisco Giants in return for a player to be named later or cash considerations, which ended up being starting pitcher Jake Wong. Then lastly, on February 8th, they traded away outfielder Justin Boyd and a player to be named later to the Cleveland Guardians to get hitter Will Benson. Cincinnati did not agree to any extensions this offseason, exercise any club options, or re-sign any players. The Reds had 7 players eligible for arbitration and were able to agree to deals with all 7 players while avoiding the need of an arbiter. They agreed to deals with infielder Kevin Newman, pitcher Luis Cessa, outfielder Nick Senzel, starting pitcher Justin Dunn, and relief pitchers Buck Farmer, Lucas Sims, and TJ Antone. In the Rule 5 draft, they selected 25-year-old hitter Blake Sabol from the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. And to wrap up, the Cincinnati Reds claimed 1 player off waivers and signed a group of minor league free agents that you can see here. Batting third, it's the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers have a staggering 13 players from their MLB roster not returning this year, the most impactful of those being relief pitchers Brad Boxberger and Taylor Rogers, second baseman Colton Wong, third baseman Jace Peterson, and outfielders Andrew McCutchen and Hunter Renfroe. The Brewers signed 4 free agents. Those 4 free agents being starting pitcher Wade Miley, who signed a 1-year, $4.5 million deal, which includes $1.5 million in performance incentives, a $250,000 bonus if traded, and has a 2024 mutual option of $10 million with a $1 million buyout option. Hitter Brian Anderson to a 1-year, $3.5 million deal with $2 million in performance incentives. Relief pitcher Justin Wilson to a 1-year, $1 million deal, which has a club option for 2024 of $2.5 million with a $150,000 buyout option. And outfielder Blake Perkins to a 1-year deal with financial details not disclosed, likely around league minimum of $720,000. As for trades, Milwaukee made 8 this offseason, the most in the National League. On November 10th, they traded outfielder Remington Batista to the Miami Marlins in exchange for catcher Peyton Henry. Then, on November 18th, they traded a player to be named later to the Tampa Bay Rays in return for relief pitcher Javi Guerra. Then, on November 22nd, they traded outfielder Hunter Renfroe to the LA Angels and got back relief pitcher Elvis Peguero and starting pitchers Adam Seminaris and Jansen Junk. Following that, on December 2nd, the Brewers traded away second baseman Colton Wong to the Seattle Mariners in exchange for outfielder Jesse Winker and infielder Abraham Toro. Their next trade on December 12th was as a 3-team trade where they traded away outfielder Esteury Ruiz and got back relief pitcher Joel Payamps, catcher William Contreras, and relief pitcher Justin Yeager. Then, on December 14th, they traded away cash considerations to the Cleveland Guardians in return for utility man Owen Miller. After this, on January 4th, they traded cash considerations to the Pittsburgh Pirates to get pitcher Bryce Wilson in return. And lastly, on January 7th, they traded away relief pitcher Justin Topa to the Seattle Mariners in exchange for starting pitcher Joseph Hernandez. Milwaukee did not agree to any extensions this offseason, exercise any club options, or re-sign any players. The Brewers had 14 players eligible for arbitration and were able to agree to deals with all but one player to almost avoid the need of an arbiter. They agreed to deals with infielders Abraham Toro, Mike Brosseau, and Keston Hiura, first baseman Rowdy Tellez, third baseman Luis Urias, shortstop Willy Adames, catcher Victor Carantini, starting pitchers Brandon Woodruff, Eric Lauer, and Adrian Hauser, as well as relief pitchers Devin Williams, Matt Bush, and Hobie Milner. The one player they were not able to make a deal with was starting pitcher Corbin Burns. At the arbitration hearing, the arbiter sided with the Brewers, resulting in Burns making the team proposed amount of $10.01 million. In the Rule 5 draft, they selected 26-year-old relief pitcher Gus Varland from the Texas Rangers organization. And to wrap up, the Milwaukee Brewers claimed one player off waivers and signed a group of minor league free agents that you can see here. Hitting cleanup are the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates have 7 players from their MLB roster not returning this year, the most impactful of those being infielder Kevin Newman and outfielder Ben Gamel. The Pirates signed 6 free agents. Their 6 free agents are starting pitcher Rich Hill, who signed a 1-year, $8 million deal, first baseman Carlos Santana to a 1-year, $6,725,000 deal, catcher Austin Hedges to a 1-year, $5 million deal, outfielder Andrew McCutchen to a 1-year, $5 million deal, starting pitcher Vince Velasquez to a 1-year, $3.15 million deal, and relief pitcher Jarlin Garcia to a 1-year, $2.5 million deal, which includes a 2024 club option of $3.25 million with no buyout. When it comes to trades, Pittsburgh made 7 this offseason. On November 10th, they traded relief pitcher Jack Hartman to the Tampa Bay Rays in return for first baseman Ji-Man Choi. Then, on November 18th, they dealt infielder Kevin Newman to the Cincinnati Reds in exchange for relief pitcher Dari Moreta. Then, on November 23rd, they traded utility man Hoy Park to the Boston Red Sox for starting pitcher Inmer Lobo. Then, on December 18th, they traded away starting pitcher Nick Garcia to the Colorado Rockies to acquire hitter Connor Joe. Then, on December 23rd, they traded utility man Diego Castillo to the Arizona Diamondbacks to get starting pitcher Scott Randell. Following this, on January 4th, they traded pitcher Bryce Wilson to the Milwaukee Brewers in exchange for cash considerations. Then lastly, on January 10th, they traded away pitcher Zach Thompson to the Toronto Blue Jays in return for outfielder Chavez Young. Pittsburgh did not agree to any extensions this offseason, exercise any club options, or re-sign any players. The Pirates had 6 players eligible for arbitration and were able to agree to deals with all but one player to almost avoid the need of an arbiter. They agreed to deals with starting pitchers Mitch Keller and JT Brubaker, hitter Miguel Andujar, and relief pitchers Robert Stevenson and Dwayne Underwood Jr. The one player they were not able to make a deal with was first baseman Ji-Man Choi. At the arbitration hearing, the arbiter sided with the Pirates, resulting in Choi making the team proposed amount of $4.65 million. In the Rule 5 draft, they selected 25-year-old relief pitcher Jose Hernandez from the LA Dodgers organization. And to wrap up, The Pittsburgh Pirates claimed 5 players off waivers and signed a group of minor league free agents that you can see here. Last up are the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals have 5 players from their MLB roster not returning this year, the most impactful of those being DH Albert Pujols, starting pitcher Jose Quintana, and catcher Yadier Molina. The Cardinals also signed 2 free agents, those 2 free agents being star catcher Wilson Contreras, who signed a 5-year, $87.5 million deal, which has performance incentives of $475,000 per year, a 2028 club option of $17.5 million with a $5 million buyout option, a full no-trade clause from 2023 to 2026, and a 10-team trade clause from 2027 to 2028. And the Cards signed relief pitcher Guillermo Zuniga to a 1-year deal with financial details not disclosed, but assume the deal is around $720K, the league minimum. As for trades, St. Louis made 2 this offseason. On November 9th, they traded away cash considerations to the Cleveland Guardians in exchange for infielder Jose Furman. Then, on February 8th, they traded away cash considerations to the Kansas City Royals for relief pitcher Anthony Misiewicz. St. Louis did not exercise any club options or re-sign any players, but did sign 1 player to an extension. They signed starting pitcher Adam Wainwright to a 1-year, $17.5 million deal with $1,725,000 in performance incentives, a full no-trade clause, and 10 years of deferred payments. The Cardinals had 10 players eligible for arbitration and were able to agree to deals with 8 of those 10. They agreed to deals with pitcher Dakota Hudson, starting pitchers Jordan Montgomery and Jack Flaherty, shortstop Tommy Edman, outfielder Tyler O'Neill, catcher Andrew Knizer, and relief pitchers Chris Stratton and Jordan Hicks. The 2 players that were not able to agree to a deal were relief pitchers Ryan Helsley and Genesis Cabrera. For the arbitration hearings with Helsley and Cabrera, the arbiter sided with the Cardinals, resulting in those players to make the team proposed salaries of $2.15 million and $950,000 respectively. In the Rule 5 draft, they selected 33-year-old relief pitcher Wilking Rodriguez from the New York Yankees organization. And to wrap up, the St. Louis Cardinals claimed no players off waivers, but signed a group of minor league free agents that you can see here. If you made it to the end, thanks for watching, and I hope you find the information useful. If you're looking to find out more about the other 5 divisions and their off seasons as well, check the description down below for links to the other videos. Also, if you want to see more baseball content, hit that subscribe button, and I hope to see you around this season.